So you all know that I am on a journey to do YouTube recordings daily. Do YouTube recordings daily. And the purpose really is for me to be able to improve my public speaking skills, and to get clearer on, the people that I'm speaking to, like who is talking to me, who's interested in what it is that I have to say, and to get clear on that and to be able to speak better to that audience. And I think within 1 year, that is more than enough time for me to be able to figure that out. So today's video topic, I'm talking about learning how to be more patient when it comes to traveling, especially when you go overseas. Now, I currently live in Mexico, in Playa del Carmen, and the electricity actually went out early this morning, like 5 o'clock, something like that, 4:30, 5 o'clock in the morning. And I know because I heard, I think it's the transistor or something that went out. Let me fix this light. It was like the transistor or something that blew up. It was two of them actually. And it's hot season here, so the air conditioner went out, the fans went out, refrigerator went out. And generally, it's not that that doesn't happen here, um, but it's usually fixed within 10 minutes to a couple of hours. The only time it has been an all day ordeal is when there was a hurricane. And so, I was expecting the electricity to be on in a couple of hours. But it actually didn't come back on until literally like 10:30 p.m. at night when it was time to go to bed. And so at some point during the day, I figured that, I had plans to be able to work from home, as I usually do on a Tuesday, and, do my usual sending out of emails to potential clients that I'm looking at for my writing business. And I went outside. I started to go across the street to go and get some food. And I was just like, to go to the grocery store to pick up some food to be able to cook. I was like, you know what? Today's not the day. Something told me that this was going to take a little longer than usual. Um, so I quickly scrapped that. And I wound up going way across town, to my favorite cafe that has pretty good air conditioning. They had couches and chairs that are very comfortable. And I got my usual Mexican chocolate drink and soy milk and a donut. Um, and along the way, I picked up a torta, a quick torta sandwich. And that was enough to be able um, to hold me over. Not my usual healthy fare, but sometimes it's nice to be able to go outside and eat something that is local and not necessarily overly expensive. Because I hate spend like you can go out and spend money on stuff, on big plates of food, and spend all your money, and it tastes terrible. I'd rather just you know spend 10, 15 bucks on something local and have it taste good. So that's what I did. But that's my reaction to how things work when you go overseas, and your plans sometimes change because of things that are outside of your control. But I've learned that for many people, this is not. For many people, this is not. They don't know how to deal with it. They don't know how to deal with it, and so I just wanted to offer some advice, some pointers to help people, because a lot of people tell me that they want to be able to travel, but the moment that there is an inconvenience, they get rattled and don't know what to do. And part of the reason is because I think in the States, like we have a plan and we have to be able to stick with the plan, but sometimes the plan um, sets you off in so many different directions that you just feel rattled and your nervous system is all jacked up and um, because you can't get what you want and things just don't work overseas and they just don't work in other countries the same way. They don't work as efficiently as they do in the States, which I don't necessarily think is a bad thing. Like when the electricity goes out, I just accept it and go ahead and do something else. Um, I just accept what it is and move on. And of course, the fact that I'm a writer makes it easy for me to be able to do that because I'm not necessarily, I'm not working with other teams of people, so I can do that. It's part of the reason why I really love having a writing career. Um, but I just wanted to share just a few bits and pieces because I'm going to do this video. We're going to do this daily video. We're going to post this video. And I'm coming here with, my hair braided up. So I'm looking a little weird, but that's all right. So the first thing I wanted to talk about was trying to force things overseas. You cause yourself stress. Calm down. Calm down. Like, and just think about before you go to a new country, really think about having some sort of alternative plan um, for when things like electricity, when the electricity goes out. Now, I'm lucky in the place that I'm in. I think I can't remember if I explained it, just explained it, but the electricity doesn't really go out a lot here. It's not a normal thing. But I've certainly been in other countries where it's going out all the time. And you just have to be able to find a place if you're doing a job where you just can't not work, you can go to a co-working space or another cafe to be able to work and just sort of like scout that out when you arrive in a new country, to figure out what those spaces are, um, so that you'll know ahead of time. Go there, figure out the place, you know, pay to be there for a day or two, figure out what's comfortable, what's the temperature there, do they have food, because all that stuff is important. All that stuff is really important. Do they have, if you're a coffee drinker, sometimes they'll offer you coffee or tea as part of your membership to the place. You want to know these things because the point is to not just to get work done, but you also want to be comfortable. And it's one thing to be inconvenienced to be able you'll have to leave the place that you're normally used to working in. In my case, it's my home. Um, you just want to go someplace else that's going to be equally or close to being comfortable as you were at home. What else? To understand that everybody is not working on your schedule, right? You can, like here, um, the electrical company, when the power, okay, so this is how things work out here in Mexico, from what I had gathered. I'm not an expert on any processes here, but this is what my landlady does whenever the electricity goes out. When the electricity goes out, she contacts the electric company. She puts in, I guess, some sort of like a ticket, like a help desk sort of a thing. And they'll tell her, we'll be there in today, like this morning when it went out, they told her we'll be there in, 1 to 6 hours. Of course, they did not show up in 1 to 6 hours. They showed up actually almost 12 hours later. But what she did was she me being my landlady, she checks in every couple of hours to be able to say, hey, what's going on? Now, of course, I could not do that because I don't have enough Spanish to be able to do that. Um, but luckily, I have a landlady who is involved in the management of her building, and I appreciate that. That's something that you want to think about. when you go overseas? How involved is your the management of the building when things go wrong? Is there somebody for you to ask, and are they able to communicate with, the water people, the the electrical company, or whatever else that you have going on, or is that going to be all up to you? Because if it was up to me, hell, I just don't have the Spanish to be able to do it. I just be we would just be sitting here until the next day when they just sort of showed up on their own, right? Um, so you just got to understand that the power company is not going to work faster because you got stuff to do. They really don't care, because they have other people that they need to be able to take care of, to take care of. And the fact that you have a meeting is just not top on their list of priorities. It's just not. You are not the center of the planet. It's okay. Life will go on. You just need to be able to plan ahead for, you know, plan ahead for these things. What else? Sometimes I see people who want to demand, impatient people. They want to demand exact answers. Okay, so what time are they going to be here? Okay, so they said that they were going to be here between this time, and now it's after this time. But what time? Ain't nobody got answers to all of that. Nobody has answers to all that. So remind people, like my landlady, she is always on it. She's always doing her best, and so I'm always saying that I'm appreciative. We actually, in our building, it's a small building with maybe 4 or 5 apartments. And we have a little WhatsApp group. So when the electricity goes out, there's usually some sort of a chat to be able to discuss how it is that we are, like where we are in the process of getting the electricity back on, or other problems. Um, and so, and which is a nicety. She doesn't have to do that. Like the landlady, she doesn't really have to do that for us, but she does, and I appreciate that. And I always let her know that that's a very kind thing for us to do. There's a young lady here. She had just gone out yesterday to go out and bought a bunch of food, and she was concerned about it spoiling, which I totally understand. Um, but everybody has food sitting in their refrigerator. And so this sort of a situation was sort of new for her. And so I sort of helped to sort of talk her off of the ledge of being upset about her food. And I think eventually she understood. She wasn't going off the rails or anything, but she was quite upset. And so I wanted to help ease her stress, to show her how she can actually save some of her food and it won't go bad. And learning that, um, being able to let go, being able to let go of some of that frustration, um, and being upset actually helps you to save some of your energy. Getting ready to pop off and wanting to fight and argue with people and what I demand to see somebody, being a Karen. Don't do that. don't don't be a Karen overseas. Nobody appreciates it. And just be helpful, be kind, and just sort of roll with it. And people will appreciate that. So what are some ways for you to be able to reframe what has happened? Um, for me, I looked at it as a lost, it's not really a lost work day, but it's more of a forced reset. Honestly, I always do my work no matter what, but I'm kind of tired too. Like I woke up today and I was just, um, I was just sort of out of sorts. I was out of sorts. And so I needed a kind of a reset. My mind wasn't really on work anyway. So rather than sit and lament about the fact that I lost the work day, I just took it as a cafe day and I read a book. Um, what's the name of this book? I'll have to find it. But it's a book for people who have writing businesses. And so I just took that book and I read it. Um, didn't finish it, of course, but it was a book that's still work related. But it was a break from my normal routine. So it was a forced reset. And so now, like it's the end of the day, I only have to do this video, and then I can go to bed. And I promise you, I'm gonna sleep so well tonight once I get this video up. I'm not sure if it'll be up before midnight because it's already about 11 p.m. But that's okay. I'm going to get this video up, and then I'm going to do some last minute cleaning up to get ready for tomorrow, and I'm going to hit this bed. Client outreach, it can wait a day. It can wait a day. I have enough of a list of clients to be able to reach out to that one day is not going to put a kink in my process. So I'm not worried about it. The process of slowing down actually helps me to notice local life. So while I was walking today, I just got an opportunity to be able to get to a feel for what the streets look like. And so I went out this afternoon. Of course, it's hot. It's hot outside. I actually maybe if I had to guess, maybe somewhere in the high 90s, low 100s. So it's not a ton of people. And really, right now, because of the issue with the seaweed at the ocean, it's not a ton of people out there anyway. So it's less people outside. But by the time I left in the evening, that's when more people come outside. That's one of the things that I enjoy about the living in a place that's warm is that there's always some sort of a night culture where you can go outside and you can hang out with local people and there's street vendors who are selling street food and they're just selling stuff. The lights are on, and it's just a different atmosphere, and plus it's a little bit cooler. This evening actually wasn't really all that hot, thank goodness, as much as it was earlier in the day. You know how you go some places and in the summer the air can be particularly heavy, but at night it was a lot cooler. At least tonight was. Um, and also learning how to be flexible is a really good travel skill to be able to have. Learn how to be flexible. Practice that. You can do this wherever you are. Learn how to be flexible instead of when you don't get your way the first time and just going off the rails and making your mind focus on what it is that can't happen. Focus on what can you do instead. And then finally, I like to be able to find comfort in the chaos. So, go find yourself a safe, cool spot that works without the power. It could be a cafe. If I wanted to, I could have made this a beach day. Would have been a great day for a beach day. I didn't feel like being sandy today. I felt like sitting with a book. So that was what I did. You can find other things that you can do where you are located. Um, Go find and support a local business that stays open. Like right now is can be tough for a small business. And this is all over the world. It's not just in the United States. It's having a hard time. It's everybody everywhere for various reasons are just having a hard time, particularly small businesses that are being hit hard. So go to a local business, go frequent them, use this as a good time to be able to use your money to support a local business that you enjoy and help them to stay open. give yourself a treat. Give yourself a treat. Go to a small favorite. As I said, I had my little Mexican chocolate drink with the soy milk, and I'm happy. Sit down with that and on some ice and read my book, and it's a good day. And just use your quiet time to be able to read or to think, to write in your journal, of course. So yeah, that's really all that I have today. I don't really need this to be a long video because again, um, I'm rather tired and I'm ready for bed. So um, yeah, that's really all I wanted to say. Don't get bent all out of shape when you go to a new place and things don't always work the way that you want them to work. Learn to enjoy the um, the bureaucracy of the country. And I truly mean that. You know, I people will complain about the bureaucracy of getting visas to go to another country and things like that. I don't look at it that way at all because having a visa to go to another country is truly a privilege. And I have had friends and have walked people through the process. And I'm particularly speaking of friends that I've had from the continent of Africa, who have gone through processes of trying to get visas to go to countries outside of the continent, and even within the continent, they have problems. Like it, it's a mess. But if you, for certain passports, it's really difficult for them to be able to get a visa to go to another country. I don't care how much money they make, um, who it is that they know in the government. It's just really challenging for them to be able to get a visa. And so I don't like because I have walked other people, I have walked through with other people through that process. Um, I don't complain about how long it might take for me as an American to be able to get a visa in Mexico because usually it works out in my favor. If there's only been a couple of times in the last 8 years that I've been traveling where I was applying for a particular visa and it just didn't work out and I had to do something else. I found another way to be able to get what it is that I needed. So I don't complain about visas and the amount of time, generally speaking, that I get on the visa is a drop in the bucket. Well, the time that I spend on trying to get the visa is a drop in the bucket in comparison to the time that I spend in the country. Um, so bureaucracy in another country, I don't allow it to bother me. It's an annoyance, it's a pain in the ass, but I don't let it bother me too much. That there are other things, bigger things to be able to worry about. So again, my name is Helena Black. Um, if you like this, if you want to know more about my travel life and the essays and things that I do, I write about being present to life, um, what it means to be present in midlife. I'm 49 years old, deep in perimenopause at this time, and I'm really trying to help figure out my life and where it is that I want my writing career to go. Um, and if you relate to that, I would love for you to be a subscriber to my Substack. You'll find the link to my Substack. It's called Wealthy, Wise, and Whole. Um, I do share journaling prompts. I love a good, healthy, juicy journaling prompt. I don't do this little cutesy, two word. I'll give you a color and then you just journal about the color. I ask you questions about life. Um, and if I would love for you to be able to share um, in the Substack with me and the other people who read the Substack. But you can also just write for yourself. You don't necessarily have to. But I would love for you to be subscribed to my Substack, Wealthy, Wise, and Whole. You can find the link in the description or in the first comment box of this video. Thank you so much for hanging out, and I will see you tomorrow. Peace.